Good morning, everybody.
Welcome our home church. We are inviting you, and we encourage to our friends and the family, the Maine, Connecticut,
Hello,
and all over
everyone.
the world. Let us prepare our heart to heaven. We sing a song, holy song, page 53, by and by. 53, by and by.
By and by, when the morning comes, all the saints of God are gathered home. We'll tell the story of how we overcome, and we'll understand it better by and by. We are tossed and driven on the restless seas of time. Somber skies and howling tempests all succeed a bright sunshine. In that land of perfect gain, when the mists have rolled away, we will understand it better by and by. Yeehaw! By and by, when the morning comes, all the saints of God are gathered home. We'll tell the story of how we've overcome, and we'll understand it better by and by. We are often destitute of the things that life demands, want of shelter and of food, thirsting hills and barren lands. We are trusting in the Lord, and according to His word, we will understand it better by and by. Yeehaw! By and by, when the morning comes, all the saints of God are gathered home. We'll tell the story of how we've overcome, and we'll understand it better by and by. Trials dark on every hand, and we cannot understand all the ways that God will lead us to that blessed promised land. We will guide us to His eye, and we'll follow Him on high, and we'll understand it better by and by. Yeehaw! By and by, when the morning comes, all the saints of God are gathered home. We'll tell the story of how we've overcome, and we'll understand it better by and by. Yes, we'll understand it better by and by. Or we'll understand it better by and by. Woo! Yeah.
Thank you. Next song is 165, Someday My Love. 165, Someday My Love.
This is a great song written by a brother who was in the church back in the 1970s. And he wrote this song. He wrote a lot of beautiful songs. Mark Unger. Someday my love will be so great as to dwarf these hills. Someday my love will pull the clouds to earth. Someday my love will reach down to the lowest soul and raise him up to join me in the stars. Someday my love will be there when all the others have gone astray. I'll stand on the mountain as a light for those who wander. Someday my love will even pull my God to earth. Together let us walk hand in hand. Oh, we saw brothers and sisters covered with darkness in brightest day, and sometimes we were just as blind, but now we see our family shining with brilliance in darkest night. Someday my love will pull the clouds to earth. Someday my love will reach down to the lowest soul and raise him up to join us in the stars. Someday my love will be there when all the others have gone astray. I'll stand on the mountain as a light for those who wander. Someday my love will even pull my God to earth, and together let us walk hand in hand. And together let us walk hand in hand.
Thank you.
Nice.
Next song. Number 4, Garden of Restoration. Number 4, Garden of Restoration.
In this world painted with hate through the thousands of years, Father was searching to find one triumphant heart, where he struggled, behold, footprints stained with blood. Such love is given to us in his providence. Such love is given to us in his providence. Here we find the flower of joy in the freedom of God. His garden blesses the world with the blooming of hope. Fragrant perfume of his will fills us all with joy. Such love fulfills all the dreams of our Father's desire. Such life fulfills all the dreams of our Father's desire. Fresh bouquets of happiness grow, gently tossed in the breeze. Our home, eternal and true, is a haven of joy. Wherein such beauty divine we shall always live. Such is the gift of the Lord, Father's heavenly land.
and true parents. Today is September 24th, 2017, Sunday morning. Let's ask about the Heavenly Parents, God and true parents. 근데 join me prayer. 살아계 하시는 하나님 아버지, 참부모님, 안녕하십니까? Heavenly parents, God and true parents, good morning. We are so grateful to receive a new day and new week. Yesterday, September 23rd, 2017, is a very important day to changing history. The year providence shifted to the heavenly realm, centering the Christ. Now that after coming of Christ, the 정일국 begin. Heavenly parents, through your blessing and forgiveness, we return to you, Heavenly parents. You can become you are truly glorified your children. But in the behind of the history and the second coming of Christ, pay the price, the whole life, dedicating your will to make your kingdom of heaven in this earth. People and God can live together in the one heart, and your servant is coming to this world. Now, some people receiving your heavenly constitution. Through that heavenly constitution, we are governing your servant. How great this day, Heavenly Parents. Now begin of your kingdom sprouting. We have to catch your spirit and heart. Through that, we can create beautiful family and beautiful tribe, beautiful community and nation and the world. Even midst the tribulation, possibility of the war or possibility of disaster, the main point of your kingdom is starting now, this moment. We are so grateful to receive new revelation and new truth guiding us. Longing for true family, true nation, the true world. Heavenly parents, we have to quickly prepare our heart and mind and action. Please, God, today we can live with you, live with your word and truth and your love spreading everywhere. And the wind will blow and all things will rejoice, Heavenly Parents. Please guide us to prepare our heart, receiving your word and vision for the future world, Heavenly Parents. Thank you very much guiding us. So grateful to receive this day. Please bless this time. A report in the name of Rama and Montanaro. Bless the Central family. Aju, Aju, Amen.
Amen.
Welcome, Pastor Montanaro. Please give a hand.
Hi, everyone. Hi. So we are pioneering, aren't we?
Yes.
We have a new home. I have to find new work, new schools. Our mission is really being renewed. Even our family is new. We're welcoming grandma into our family, so it's a new family structure. Everything is new. So whenever you're going to a course that no one has gone before, or at least you have not gone before, you have to look for help from people. You get a lot of help. We're getting a lot of help from our friends and family. But also, whenever we're going a new course, and we're going a new course right now, we're pioneering. We're going someplace that no one has gone before. Meaning, when we have to build a kingdom of heaven, we have to, like Oma was praying about, has this world ever been a good world? Look at, you're studying history, right, in school somehow, right? You're studying history, you're studying history. What do we study when we study history? What are the number one things that come up all the time? Wars. We study the history of this war, led to this war, led to this war, led to this war. It's almost like people like fighting. Oh, what a shock. People do like fighting. Our friend Jeff talked about his son, who is, he likes fighting actually. He has a picture of himself. He's a big guy. He's like 6'5" or something. He's like 250 pounds, all muscle. He works on boats with fish and crabs and things like that. He's a strong guy. Really strong, like a mountain, like bigger than Jeff, a really big guy. And he actually will go into bars and places to pick a fight. Like, he finds some girl that's being badly treated by some guy, and then he'll say, you know what, and he'll go for it. He has a picture of himself, this Jeff's son, standing next to a guy with their arms around each other. They're both bleeding because they just had a fight. And you're like, wait a minute. What's wrong with this picture? Guys like fighting. They actually enjoy it, right, boys? You actually like fighting with each other. Girls like fighting too, but in a different way, right?
Yeah.
Do girls like fighting?
Cat and dog.
Yeah, it's like sometimes fists, but sometimes it's words and like, like an easy A. Give me back that shirt. It was too loose on you anyway. Burn, she goes,
Yeah.
Like the girls are like cutting at each other. The boys like fighting. We like fighting, right? Because somehow we have this anger inside of ourselves. We have this frustration inside of ourselves, and we don't know what to do with it. So we look for someone to blame, right? Like in Meet the Robinsons, the Hat Man. He says, "What should I do? Take responsibility or blame you?" Ding ding ding, blame you. So we always want to blame other people. It's easier, right? And when we blame other people, then we make comments and things like, well, they're feeling the same way. It's your fault, right? So then you escalate, and then you blame each other, and then you fight. And after everyone's bleeding and almost dead, then you're like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, hey, you're my friend again. It's like this. This is the way human history has come along, through fights. And the fights between nations, just like when you punch somebody and they're bleeding, many cells died, right? And it's a black and blue mark because the blood is coming up in the areas that you hit, and people, and there's cuts and there's damage. Well, the damage in a war is that many young people die. Many young men especially usually die in wars. So this is the kind of, when you look at a nation of 300 million people, and we look at a war like the one we just had, or we're having in Iraq and Afghanistan and places, maybe 3,000, I don't know how many men have died, but 4,000 now, I don't know how many exactly. But that's a small percentage of the population of the United States. It's not even 1/1,000th, it's 1/100,000th of the population, one out of every 100,000 people. So, compared to the population of the whole country, it's a small number, but it affects many people. Many have friends and family, and we all deal with the repercussions of that. And then the bad feeling between nations continues. So, people like to fight. They like fighting. They like blaming other people. And they like to they don't want to take responsibility themselves. Anyway, our family is pioneering now, right? We're going a course like this. that when you're pioneering, everything is new, and we're trying to build the kingdom of heaven, right? And I said, we haven't seen that yet, have we? What is the kingdom of heaven where nobody fights? What do you think? Will there be fights in the kingdom of heaven?
Yes.
You think boys would like to fight each other in the kingdom of heaven?
Yes.
I think so. I mean, I think that's why we like sports, right? We like sports because sports you get to beat the other guy, you know?
Yeah, very competitive.
Yeah, we're competitive, right? Especially boys, girls, everyone. We're competitive, and we want to create. Something, you know. We want to be the best, so we are competitive, that kind of thing. But I think maybe there'll be more love, and there won't be the kind of fighting where people really hurt each other because of their anger. I think that can be done with, and wars can be done away with. There can still be, you know, struggles between people who have different points of view and are fighting with each other to communicate and share their point of view and to win an argument, maybe a discussion, what's the best way to solve a problem. But they don't have to be violent, and they don't have to be angry, right? So we're building the kingdom of heaven. It's never been here before. We've never seen a wonderful world where everyone loves each other, where every family is a happy family, where there's no divorce, where there's no family breakdown, where kids grow up and they make good families, and they have children and they make good families like this. We've never seen that world. We're trying to build it now. And we're in Maine, and here in Maine we see actually more close to the ideal where people are trying to make their family the center for their life, not so much making money. If people want to make money, they don't stay in Maine, right? They leave. They go someplace like New York or Boston, and they try to be rich. And they usually forget about their family, right? When you think of New York City, you think of everyone wearing black, talking on their cell phone, right? And trying to make their way, you know? Whether they're an actress or a model trying to be successful, or whether they're like an engineer or an architect trying to make it in business, or whether they're in the stock market or financial world trying to make $1 million on Wall Street. Everyone is alone. Like, you know, yes, if I can make it there, I can make it anywhere, you know. They're going to New York to prove themselves and make themselves, you know. But usually it's just by themselves. As soon as people make a family, they get out of New York. Connecticut, Westchester, and New Jersey are filled with families that fled New York as soon as they had children. They go out and they buy a suburban home in a nice little community, and they want nothing to happen there. They want quiet so they can raise their family in peace. Right?
That's right.
No one wants to raise a family in New York City. You know, Nicolas Cage's movie, The Family Man, talks about that, right? Talks about, you know, he's a stock top level, you know, mergers and acquisitions guy, I think, and he's got a Ferrari, and he's got this whole penthouse suite, and he's got a different woman every day of the week, and he's just rich and, you know, successful. And then he goes back and has a glimpse given by an angel of what his life would have been like if he'd married his high school sweetheart and made a family. And in the beginning, he hates it. But then after a couple of months of living with her and seeing his beautiful children, he loves them. He loves the family. And he realizes he's happier. And then suddenly the angel makes him go back to his old life, and he hates it. He doesn't want to be there anymore. So he goes and finds his old high school sweetheart, and he makes a connection to her again, and hopefully makes a family at the end of the movie. You know, it's exciting to think about what I can do by myself in the world. But actually, when you do that, you find that your trajectory ends up bringing you back to family. So we're trying to make true families. And this is all about one point, basically, to say that when you're pioneering, when you're making something new, what is the number one thing that you need? Like, you know, we can think about money, or you could think about, you know, what resources do you need? You know, maybe the pioneers, when they crossed the country going west, they had a covered wagon, maybe they had a gun, they had, you know, they had hatchets and different tools to cut wood and to work with wood so they can make the house. They had farming implements. So, you know, thinking about what we're doing right now as pioneers, okay? What is the number one thing that we should not run out of?
God.
Heart?
God.
God. Okay. Yeah, you need a connection to God. Anyone else? What? Land? No, land, you can, this pioneering thing is not about land, about
People?
that. What?
People?
People. All these things are important. Land and people, like the three blessings, right? God is the first blessing, So we need the three blessings. That's what we're trying to fulfill. But if you lose inspiration, if you lose your vision and inspiration, you get depressed, and then you forget your vision, you forget where you're going. Because when you're out there, you're not following anyone else's standard, anyone else's pattern. You're trying to build something that's never been done. You're trying to do something that's never been done. And your inspiration is the most precious commodity. Because if you're inspired, then you can do anything. And that's where God comes in, because God can help you be inspired. He keeps your level of inspiration. When the world around you is, when you're at a new school, when you're at a new job, you're in a new home, new friends, new state, new place, everything's new. You can't depend on anything like that. Then you have to depend on what's inside, and that's God. And God gives you inspiration. So that's the one thing that we mustn't lose, is our inspiration during this time. And so I think God and prayer is important for all people, because we should all be pioneering, right? Everyone should be pioneering. So I think that this is something that we have to think about. Are you inspired, or are you depressed? Ask yourself every day, am I inspired or am I depressed? If you're inspired, then you have energy and vision, and you can go forward, you can do things, you can accomplish things, you can move forward, and you can build your life. If you're depressed, you shrink down into like a nothingness, like a state of like denying yourself. The extreme of depression is what? What do people do when they get very depressed? They kill themselves, right? They deny their own existence. They cut off their own existence. They take their own lives. They get rid of their, like, my life is not worth living, this kind of feeling. So the opposite of depression is inspiration. And inspiration comes from God, from a relationship with God, from praying. So you could say, if someone's depressed, they're not praying enough. If someone's depressed, they're not connecting to God. So we have to help each other to connect to God. Make that connection. Okay. What I want to talk about today is not really related to this. This is just a prelude that we're talking about our situation here. What I want to talk about today is related to grandma coming to us and staying with us. We have a new member in our family now who's 88 years old. Let's open our books up, Father's Autobiography, to 211, page 211. I was praying this morning, and I opened up Father's Autobiography looking for a theme, and it was amazing. It's exactly what I wanted to say. It's exactly what I wanted to talk about. Page 211. The peaceful family is the building block of heaven. And actually this ties together what I just talked about, right? The idea that we're pioneering a new family structure, a new way of living, right? And in the past, don't you think some people have come close to living in a good way, right? But maybe they struggled because of fallen nature and sin. But we can see different styles of living. Which is closer to God? Living in, say, San Francisco and having sex with different people and making a lot of money, living in a nice place, or being in, say, a poor place and having a good family where you love each other and you take care of each other and you help each other learn and grow. Which one's closer to God? What do you think, Simna?
People in the poor place.
Right? Being with a family. Poor, so even if it's poor. Of course, it's nice to have money. It's nice to be able to do things and see plays and to see movies and go out and see all the activities that are in a city. But if you think of which people are closer to God, you've got to think that the people that are living for the sake of other people, that are living for their families, that are making good families, are closer to God than people who are living for themselves in a big city, say. So let's read now this chapter. It's a very short chapter. The peaceful family is the building block of heaven. Many Western people live truly lonely lives. Their children leave home once they turn 18, and the parents may only get to see their faces at Thanksgiving or Christmas. Many children never visit their parents just to find out how they're doing. Once people marry, they live with their spouse, independent from their family, until their parents become so old they can no longer take care of themselves. At that point, they move their parents into a nursing home. So it is understandable that some Westerners envy the culture of the East. Many elderly people in the West think, in the East, the grandparents live in the family as the senior members of the family, and it is really wonderful. The children respect their old parents. This is how people are supposed to live. What good is it to be lying in a nursing home, not able to see my children, not even knowing what day it is, just staying alive? Unfortunately, though, the Eastern family structure is also gradually deteriorating. We, too, are abandoning traditions that have been handed down to us for thousands of years. We have thrown away our traditional clothing, our food, and our family structure. The number of senior citizens living alone in Korea is on the rise. Each time I see stories in the news of senior citizens alone, it makes me sad. Isn't this chapter amazingly connected to exactly what we just went through with Grandma? It's amazing, isn't it, what we're going through now. I just opened the book just to one page, and this is what I came up with. It's amazing. Again, each time I see stories in the news of senior citizens alone, it makes me sad. The family is where generations live together. If family members are scattered and the parents are left alone, then that is no longer a family. The extended family system is a beautiful Korean tradition. I recommend that 3 generations live together as one family. This is not simply because it is a way of maintaining our country's tradition. When a husband and wife have a child, they pass on all they can to that child. There is a limit, however, to how much the parents can pass on. So there's a limit to how much I can give you and how much Oma can give you. Okay? The parents represent the present, and the children the future. The grandparents represent the past. So it is only when the grandparents, parents, and children live together that the children can inherit all the fortune of the past and the present. To love and respect your grandfather is to inherit the history of the past and to learn from the world of the past. The children learn precious wisdom from their parents on how to live in the present, while the parents prepare for the future by loving their children. So everyone has a role and a place, right? The children learn precious wisdom from their parents, so you do learn precious wisdom from me, how to live in the present, how to pay your bills, right? How to get married, how to make money, how to live, how to even build a house or fix a wall or fix, we worked on different things in the house, fixing walls and fixing electrical things, fixing plumbing, right? So you're learning how to live in the present from me and from Oma. Oma teaches also how to cook, how to care for the home, how to make things peaceful and harmonious. Oma and I are teaching you many things, right? About the present. And by loving you guys, we're preparing for the future. When we get old and no longer are making money and no longer are actively involved in the world, then you guys will be making money and making a family and having children and doing your own thing. But by 3 generations living together, you understand, I want my parents to be close to my children so that my children can inherit from me. Like, wouldn't you want your kids to have Appa and Oma close by? So we can like talk to them and love them and take care of them. It also helps you guys, right? If you're working, maybe even two people working, grandparents can be great babysitters, right? Grandparents can take care of kids because they love them, right? Grandparents love their grandchildren. I've heard this. I don't have any grandchildren yet, but I've heard that grandparents love their grandchildren even more than they love their own children. Because when they're loving their children, they're so busy with taking care of things, they don't have time to really just love you, right? Just to hang out. Sometimes we're very busy, right? But grandparents have nothing to do except love their grandchildren. So it's a great system for three generations living together. The grandparents are in a position to represent God. No matter how intelligent a young man may be, he cannot know all the secrets of this big world. Young people cannot know all the different secrets of life that come to us as we grow older. This is the reason the grandfather represents the history of the family. The grandfather is a precious teacher who passes on to the grandchildren all the wisdom he has acquired through the experiences he has accumulated during the course of his life. The world's oldest grandfather is God. So a life of receiving the grandfather's love and of living for the sake of the grandfather is a life of coming to understand God's love and of living for His sake. We need to maintain such a tradition in order to open the secret storehouse of God's kingdom and receive His treasure of love. Any country that ignores its old people, abandons its national character, and ignores its roots. When autumn comes, the chestnut tree gradually loses its moisture, and its leaves begin to fall. The outer shell of the chestnut falls off, and even the inner shell that surrounds the actual nut dries up. This is the cycle of life. Human beings are the same way. We are born as infants, grow up on the love of our parents, meet a wonderful partner, and get married. All this occurs in the chain of life made up of love. In the end, we become like chestnuts, becoming dry in the autumn. Old people are not a separate category of people. We all become old. We must not treat old people disrespectfully, no matter how senile they may become. There is a saying, anything can be accomplished when there is harmony in the home. When there is peace in the family, everything goes well. The peaceful family is the building block of the kingdom of heaven. The family operates on the power of love. If we love the universe as we love our families, then there's nothing to stop us from going anywhere we want. God exists in the center of love as the parent of the entire universe. That is why the love in the family needs to link directly to God. When the family is completed in love, the universe will be completed. So, what do you think? Is that true? You think Father's speaking truth? Yes, right? As much as, let me say something very important here. As much as we want to respect Jesus, the problem with our modern way of worshiping Jesus or recognizing Jesus is that 2,000 years ago, Jesus lived for 33 years. He spoke publicly for 3 years. We have no idea what he did for the first 30 years of his life. We have one or two glimpses of his childhood, of his mother and his not even his father. Joseph wasn't his father. Abandoning him in Jerusalem, forgetting him actually in Jerusalem. And 3 days later, coming back and realizing, where's Jesus? 3 days! 12-year-old boy. Can any of you imagine at home leaving your 12-year-old son And then 3 days later realizing, oh, wait a minute, where's Sungnam? Oh, oh my gosh, we forgot Sungnam. And having to go back to Jerusalem to find him and not knowing where he is. And when they find him in the temple, and he's astounding the rabbis, the teachers, with his knowledge at 12 years old, he scolds his parents and says, didn't you know I would be in my father's house? They were trying to scold him, like, where were you? We were looking all over for you. And he said, didn't you know I would be in my father's house? That's one glimpse we have of his childhood. That's it. That's it. From birth until 30 years old, that's the only glimpse we have of Jesus. That's not very good knowledge of the man that we're supposed to model our lives after. And the 3 years he was alive, he was persecuted, he was hounded from one city to another in Israel. The Jews picked up stones to kill him many times. He was never at home. He said, the foxes have holes and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. He was homeless. He was a homeless man. And when he died, you know, he said, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, stoning the prophets and killing those who are sent to you. How many times would I have gathered you together as a hen gathers her brood, but you would not. Woe to you, for in the time of tribulation, he said, not one stone will be standing left on another. And he was right. Jerusalem was wiped out 40 years after the crucifixion. And the Jews were scattered to the whole world. So, but looking at Jesus' life, looking at that life, can we really understand the full range? Was he able to set up a model? Was Jesus allowed to set up a model of the ideal kingdom of heaven on earth? No. He was chased around. He was like a fugitive and a homeless man. He was angry and bitter about this, and he cursed the people. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! You scour the countryside to find one disciple, and when you find him, you make him twice the child of hell that you are yourselves. Woe to you, blind guides! Wow. You're like whitewashed tombs, he said. All white and pretty on the outside, but all full of corruption and filth on the inside. Wow. This is not the words of a person who's happy with what's going on. Let's get over this idea of Jesus like this, you know. The Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world, floating on the ground, like all the pictures of Jesus that Hollywood made in the 1950s, 1960s. Crazy. He was a fighter, a warrior, trying to change the world, and he was destroyed physically, but not spiritually. And then he resurrected, and because of his resurrection, we have hope. We have hope, right? And we've been living on that hope for 2,000 years. Christianity is a religion of hope, a religion of faith. For 2,000 years, Christians have lived on hope and faith. But now, with the second coming of Christ, we understand how to live our daily life. We understand the family is the center. That the man-woman relationship is the key. That if we solve the problem in the man-woman relationship, if we become good men and good women, and make good husbands and good wives, and good fathers and good mothers, then the world can become the ideal world. That is the truth. That is the kingdom of heaven. Father is teaching us how to live. And this chapter we just read is like the core of what he's trying to say. The family is the building block of the kingdom of heaven. So what we're doing in home church, by building a home that is also a church, is putting together the Christian history of people going away to build a church on a hill somewhere, right? They have, you know, you could go around Maine, you see all the churches, right, everywhere with the steeples and the bells, and that people go away from their home. Their home is still a mixture of good and evil, right? God and Satan are fighting it out in the home. But we go to church to forget about Satan and to meet God in prayer and in faith and in hope. But that's not what God wants. God wants to be in the home. So when we bring the church into the home, we make home church. When our church is our home and our home becomes a church, and we open our doors and let people come in, and we let people see our family, and our family's public, not private anymore, but public, then everything we do becomes in the public eye. And we're not hiding anymore. And there's no room for Satan to hide in our family. Because we're public, we're open. We're not trying to live a secret, private life. This is the opposite of the fallen world, isn't it? Everyone's doing their own private thing secretly. Especially around sex. Right? Are people proud of their sexual lives? Do you think everyone wants their sexual lives on video so everyone can see it? In a true family, you shouldn't be ashamed of anything that goes on sexually. Even the love of your husband and wife is beautiful, and it's heavenly, and it's holy. Father made a joke. Not really a joke, actually, but Father talked about our sexual organs. In Korean, the word for sexual organ is sung-gi. Sung-gi. Everyone try saying that. Sung-gi. Sung-gi. Sung, though, has many Chinese characters. It can mean gender or sexuality. It can mean accomplishment, like to bring a victory. It can mean holy, like Sangha, or the holy songs. They're Sangha, holy song. Ga means song in Chinese characters. So Sung has many different Chinese characters. Gi also has many Chinese characters. Let's first say Gi.
Gi.
You know, Ki, the Ki is the Chi. In Chinese they say Chi. But Ki is how the Koreans say it. It's the energy that you have inside of your center where you know when you do martial arts and you scream, you Ki-ai, right? That's called Ki-ai, right? In Taekwondo, right? Ki-ai, hit! Like this. It comes from here. That's the Ki. That's your spiritual, physical energy source. That's also a Chinese character, Ki, meaning energy. Ki can mean organs. So you know, Kwan-gi, this gi, or the liver, the stomach, the different kind of organs in your body all have gi on them in Chinese characters because gi means organ. Gi can also mean place, like ki is like a place, like a location, a site. There's many Chinese characters, in other words, depending on how they put it together, it means different things. It's using a different Chinese character. Like the picture of it is different. So Father made a joke. He always loved to do this. We're using two different meanings. It's like puns. Who likes puns? Puns are very punny, aren't they? Anyway, puns play with words, right? They two different meanings of the same word or something, right? And some people love that kind of joke, those kind of puns. Well, Father loved that kind of puns. Puns in Chinese are based on the two different meanings of the same Chinese character. So, sung-gi means sexual organ. If you say sung-gi to a Korean, he'll think of sexual organ, your sexual organs, your gender organs, the organs of reproduction, your reproductive organs, right? But he played with it, and he said, he wrote on the board, sung-gi, sexual organ, he wrote the Chinese characters, and then he changed it to sung meaning holy and gi meaning place, holy place. He said, your sung-gi is your sung-gi. So it's the same sound in Korean. In English, it has different meaning. But, so he's saying your sexual organ is your holy place. Your holy place. And he's talking about the holy place that the Jews set up in the temple. There was the holy place where the congregation could come in. And then behind the curtain, where the Ark of the Covenant and the tabernacle, the Ark of the Covenant was kept, which had the tablets of stone, and the rod that Moses used to part the Red Sea that had budded, and a bottle that contained manna, the food that God gave from heaven. So these holy objects were in this Ark of the Covenant that the Jews carried with them. And then this process of building this holy, only the Kohanim, the rabbi's family, which is actually our family. Grandma's maiden name was Kohen. She's from the Kohanim, the chief priest tribe of the Jews. So my grandfather was Cohen, Ellis Cohen. He was very religious and very spiritual because he was from this lineage of the rabbis, and so only the Cohens could go into the Holy of Holies behind the curtain and look at the Torah and the original Ten Commandments and the Ark of the Covenant. So Father was talking about the holy place in this sense, that your whole body is a holy place. What did Paul say? Do you not know that you are, do you know the quote? from 1 Corinthians 3:16. You do not know you are the temple of God, and God's Spirit dwells in you. We're all the temple of God. So if we're a temple, then our body is a holy place, isn't it? Then where's the Holy of Holies? The most holy place. The place that only a priest is allowed to go. Your sexual organ. That's what Father was playing with, that idea. He was trying to teach us that who is the high priest for my sexual organ? Who's the only priest that's allowed to go into my sexual organ? So, Oma has the keys to my lock, and I have the keys to Oma's lock. Oma's the high priest for my sexual organ. I am the high priest for her sexual organ. You see, do you find many pastors talking about this kind of thing from the pulpit? Father pioneered that way. To bring God into sexuality and bring God into the home, we have to clean up the mess that Adam and Eve made about sexuality. If we do that, there's nothing shameful about sex anymore. Your sexual organ is your holy place. And the only person who has the right to go into your tabernacle, into the Holy of Holies, is your spouse. Only person. That's why this free sex culture is the most evil culture that God can imagine. That's why God destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. Because Sodom was practicing sodomy. The word sodomy, which means a man and a man having sexual relations. I don't even want to describe what they do with each other. But the men are having sex with other men using different orifices. This is called sodomy. And the men of Sodom were practicing this. When the angels came to Lot to save him, because Abraham was begging God not to destroy Sodom because his nephew was there, Lot was there. And he said, would you destroy the city if there were 100 righteous men? And God said, no, for 100 righteous men I would save the city. Then there's a great scene. Abraham's bargaining with God. He says, for 50 righteous men would you save the city? No, for 50 righteous men I would not destroy the city. How about for 20 righteous men? And then, no, for 20 I would still spare the city. How about 10 righteous? You see, there's only one. There's only one righteous man, says the nephew. But finally God says, enough. For 10 I will save the city. But all he can find is Lot, is his nephew. So God is going to destroy Sodom. So he goes there. Abraham goes there. And two angels, actually, no, Abraham doesn't go. Two angels go there to tell Lot that he has to get out of the city. And they led into Lot's house. And all the men of the city come and they say, who are those men that you just led into your house? Let them out that we may know them. This is to know someone in the Bible means to have sex with them. So if you read the Old Testament, like Adam knew Eve and she begot Cain. And then Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she begot Abel. Like this. To know someone means to have sex with them. So that's what these men are saying. Let these men out that we may know them. And Lot begs them, please, they're my guests. You can eat, this is really low spirit. He says, you can take my daughter. He says, but leave these men alone. They're my guests. But the men aren't interested in girls. They want these angels. So then the angels come out and they're really angry and they blind everybody. And then Lot and his family can escape. And Lot's wife looks back and she sees the city being destroyed and she turns into a pillar of salt. She was not allowed to look back. God said, don't look back. So we left Bridgeport, don't look back. Don't look back, move forward. Do you leave something behind? You make a decision, you go forward. Don't look back. Even Jesus said that. He said, if a man puts his hand to the plow and then turns away, looks back, he's not worthy of his wages. He's not worthy of the kingdom of God, actually, he said. Meaning, don't look back, like Lot's wife. So Lot's wife became a pillar of salt. Interesting. So, but this is what was going on right now, this free sex culture in America. There are cities that are doing the same thing. New York and San Francisco are like Sodom. Homosexuality is very, very common and very, very practiced in San Francisco and New York and most cities, most big cities. There's a lot of free sex. People are having sex with whoever they want.
men and women, men and men, women and women. It's all, doesn't matter as long as they get excited. And they don't have a clue about what it makes God feel like, or what their eternal life, their heart is being, you know, being given by these bad experiences. They don't understand. A man and a woman loving each other, having the keys to each other's sexual love, being the priest, they're allowed to go into the Holy of Holies, the holy place. This is what Father wanted to teach. And so Father went beyond where Jesus could go. Jesus could not teach these kinds of things because he was not allowed to. He was not even allowed to live. And so that's why Jesus appointed Father and said, you must finish my mission in 1935. And Father spent 10 years trying to perfect himself to become the person who could do this mission. And he faced Satan 100 times and was beaten up by Satan, tortured, spiritually, physically attacked, until he was so strong that nothing could change him. So please, if you're at home and you don't really believe what I'm saying, take your time and study Father's teaching. I'm going to put the link for his autobiography, and you can study the chapter that we just read, and you can read the whole book. Read the Divine Principle, Father's teaching. These are the 4 books that you need if you want to understand Reverend Moon and his teaching. First, the Bible. First, the Bible, which is the base of the Old and New Testaments, the Jewish Christian heritage, and the story of Jesus' life. Then Divine Principle, which is the fundamental teaching about the Bible and about the time we're living in now, and God's providence and God's work in history. And then I think Father's autobiography is wonderful. Chance for you to hear from him what he thinks is important. And these are the speeches he chose, God's Will in the World, which he chose to compile, and I use this a lot in my sermons. These 4 books are great as a way of beginning your study of Father's teaching and Father's way of life. So I hope that you take advantage of that and do that. Thank you so much for paying attention and for listening and for learning with us. We're pioneering. We have to keep our inspiration. Pray a lot so we can always be inspired to face a new day with new experiences, new people, everything's new. So we have to be a new person ourselves. Otherwise, we're just going to create the same thing we had in Bridgeport or the same thing we had before, right? If you live the same way, are you going to end up with a different result? You have to change the way you live, change the way you think, change the way you act and love and feel and everything. And then you can make a new life. That's what God wants. So Father's showing us the way, and bit by bit, we have to, as fast as we can, we have to accomplish that. And then, let's build the kingdom of heaven on earth, making our homes into churches and our family into a model family that God can use to bring inspiration to others. How much easier is it for you to become a true person if someone else did it before you? Right? Father did it before us, so we have a chance. We know we can do it. Father did it, we can do it. And if I do it, I can give inspiration to everyone. If Raul Montanaro, and my friends in high school know what kind of person I was in high school, and they know, my friends in college, they know who I was. But if he can do it, then I can do it too. Anyone can do it. Raul Montanaro is not special. I'm unique, and God thinks I'm very special. But every one of you is special, and every one of you can do it. All you need to do is have the courage and the conviction and the vision to do it. So let's all pray together. Dear Father, we want to thank you so much for giving us so many examples in history, for Jesus especially, who lived his life battering against a wall of that Satan had set up. Finally, that wall broke him physically on the cross, but spiritually, he was able to resurrect and overcome death and reappear to his disciples and start the religion of hope, the religion of faith, Christianity, which for 2,000 years has spread around the world and given hope to mankind and helped us understand that the world is going to change someday. But Father, you finally, through Jesus appointed Father, Reverend Moon, at the age of 15 on a hillside in northern part of Korea to to be his successor, to take his mission, to take his mantle, and to carry it forward and to build the kingdom of heaven on earth. And Father, blessed in marriage millions of couples so that they could accomplish blessed families on the earth, blessed central families on the earth, so the kingdom of heaven could be built on the earth. And he asked each of us to become tribal messiahs, little messiahs, to show that example, that model of the kingdom of heaven to all of our friends and family and neighbors. Please help us to accomplish our vision, our mission, our goal. I thank you so much, Father, for your love and guidance and all the love you've poured out to us through all the central figures of history, through Jesus and through Reverend Moon and through all the families that have gone before us that give us inspiration. Thank you so much. We ask your blessing on this day. We offer our prayer in the name of Raman and Tamiko Montanaro, a blessed central family. Aju.
Aju.
Amen.
Amen.